right. So I'm Shirley Buck. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I appreciate that. I was born to deaf parents, and that in itself kind of posed challenges because you are their ears and you're their voice, and a lot of responsibility is put on you quite early. So I've kind of always been the person looking out for people, being an advocate, being their voice. It kind of came naturally to me. And as life went on and things happened, as I got older, people were always saying, you should write a book, you should write a book. And I never really thought much about it. And now I'm well into my 50s, and somebody said to me, you should write a book. And I don't know why that one time okay. I went home and I wrote a book. And my purpose for writing the book is if I help one person who can see that you can go through some pretty intense trauma and turn out to be a happy person who creates a life that you love, that you deserve, the feedback, when people are inspired or people say, wow, it made me feel hopeful and thank you. And then the coaching clients I had gotten to work with, I have a 3-month course, and to see the change and the click that goes on, like, oh, I can think this way. And the course actually helps you get onto that groove of thinking a different way. And once you're doing it, it's like daily activities with weekly lessons. And as you're doing that, you're kind of training your mind to think a different way. And once you learn these things, you can't unlearn it. You might go through some ups and downs. But
this episode is brought to you by the Ramsdell Regional Center for the Arts. You can find them online at www.ramsdaletheater.org. Or you can reach them by phone at 231-398-9770. So check the website for the ticketing information. That's www.ramsdaletheater.org. This episode is brought to you by Brandon Ball, broker-owner of Dwelling Realty, Keller Williams, Northern Michigan. Are you looking to sell your home? Then look no further. When you list your home with Brandon Ball, you'll get a trusted advisor who will guide you through the entire selling process. With extensive knowledge of the local market, he'll help price your home competitively to attract the right buyers. And with proven marketed strategies, your home will be seen by the most qualified of buyers. With 17 years in the business, you'll have someone experienced who's on your side. Contact Brandon today to get started selling your home. 231-690-4981. That's 231-690-4981. Or Brandon at dwellingrealty.com. This episode is brought to you by the Outsider of Manistee. We're showcasing their family tavern, their beer garden, and their arcade. Their large outdoor patio. This place is really awesome. It's very focused on family, getting people outside, getting them to tour the city of Manistee, showcasing our social district with their newly added indoor bar, which is awesome. They have 6 drafts, over 100 canned beers and canned cocktails to choose from on the menu. This is a really awesome place for the family. You got to mess the kids, fill their pockets full of quarters, let them have at those pinball machines. Mom, Dad, enjoy a nice cold draft beer or a canned cocktail. Get yourself something to eat, feed the family, feed the kids, wake up that liver a little bit, and then go enjoy downtown Manistee. These guys are located at 457 River Street. You can find them on outsidermanistee.com. Call them at 231-299-1235 or order for pickup and delivery at orderoutsider.com. Check this place out. You won't regret it. This episode is brought to you by Just Clean, Manistee's premier car wash located at 146 Cleveland Street or just north of the US 31 bridge. Choose their ultimate car wash, folks. That's what I always do because I can't stand my truck being dirty. And the ultimate car wash is the best. It includes a triple foam conditioner, ceramic coating plus wax, and a 60-second heated blow dry. Get in, get out, get looking fly, get the dirt and dust and grime off your vehicle. Choose Just Clean Car Wash of Manistee.
Then you have the tools to say, hey, I can get out of this, So I know that this is my purpose. I'm just kind of now finding it, settling into it, accepting it, and, rolling with it, I guess.
How long have you been doing the coaching and the counseling?
Well, to be honest, many, many years, but on a very professional level, probably about 3 years. So
I have a friend of mine who's deaf.
okay.
And I just became friends with him not that long ago. And he says that you are a CODA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I'm still just kind of getting into this. So that's a child of a deaf adult.
Right.
Can you talk about that a little bit more, what it was like being able to hear around parents who couldn't, and then at what point did you start communicating for them in situations where other people couldn't communicate with them?
I was told by my grandmother, like at the age of almost 4, my mother had fainted, and I had actually called my dad's work, which I don't even know how I would know a phone number or anything, but I had actually handled the situation at 4. And at 5, they got a divorce, and I was the one who interpreted in the, lawyer's office and in the courtroom, all this. I was the one who interpreted their divorce. So responsibility is put on to a hearing child of deaf parents very early on. My mother became an alcoholic when I was about 8 or 9, and so I literally, when the Social Security check would come in, I would make sure that there's, I would have to help her write the checks and I had to handle things, So in that sense, there's a lot of responsibility put on you, but I think you feel like it's normal because you don't know anything else. So it's not like you walk around stressed because you're doing it. You just do it, and you don't realize that it's not a normal thing until like your friends start saying things like, where are your toys? Like when it'd be like toys. I got a stereo, and I danced and I sang, and music was everything to me. But I didn't have a lot of toys. I was, looking back, I feel like I was more of a tool, than a child. I'm sure I was loved, I'm sure. It's just, I guess that's why they have CODA, because you are raised differently when you're raised by deaf parents. But I also feel like nowadays it's kind of shifting and changing because there's a lot more education. They don't treat deaf people like you can't learn and just don't put them in school, and you know what I mean. They're a lot more self-sufficient. They, by law they have to have interpreters so they don't have to depend on their children, so there's a lot of shifts and changes. But I understand why they have CODA, because it is a whole different life, and there's a lot, and I think as a person you can become this person that attracts relationships and all these kind of unhealthy surroundings because you're trying to fix everyone. You're trying to help everybody.
It seemed like that in your book, that you went through this very long kind of arc of like trying to fix people. And then in your relationships and stuff like that.
Right. So it I think in that way it does affect. I think that's why CODA exists. I've never been a part of the organization. I hear there's a movie out called CODA on Apple, and I haven't watched it yet, but everybody's telling me I should, so I do want to see that. So I think it's starting to be really recognized, which is a good thing.
Did your parents sign?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was fluent in sign language. It was my first language. So I am fluent, not was fluent.
Sure.
I am fluent, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about when your parents divorced, you moved to Chicago? I'm just kind of go through, like I have a series of notes from your book that, it was fascinating, really.
Thank you.
Sometimes I think, how does somebody form a functioning life growing up ways that are unlike mine? You know what I mean?
Right.
'Cause I didn't really have any trauma or anything like that.
Right,
It's toss
which is
a word
wonderful.
out like trauma. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
So like when I see someone or interact with people that it's like, man, I don't know how they're going to get out of that, or how they're going to be different than the environment that they're forced to live in.
It is difficult. I always wanted to be. I guess I've seen things on TV where people had these great families, and I always believed it existed. I didn't know how I was going to get there. But when we moved to Chicago, my mother had remarried my stepdad, and before he took off, he talked her into selling our house that my dad left us, and he took all the money and he just left. He left us in a really horrible, like, bug-infested apartment, and so it was pretty tough because my mom started drinking, and we had got on food stamps. I sat at welfare offices and Social Security. I missed a lot of school, spending days interpreting at welfare stations and things like that. But she would get our food stamps and she'd sell them to buy alcohol, and sometimes she'd be gone 2 or 3 days at a time, and she would come home so angry and just very drunk, but very angry. And as a child, you're just fearful and you're just surviving. But looking back, I understand she was raised differently. She was hidden in the bedroom when company would come over. She wasn't like my dad. Yeah, from her parents. So they were embarrassed she was deaf. They didn't teach her to be independent. My dad taught her how to drive. My dad taught her sign language. It was. My dad grew up going to a school for the deaf. He was brought up to be confident, and so it was 2 different spectrums. So she was angry. She chose to leave my dad because she was very insecure. She always fought, "You're cheating on me," or this, if he's 5 minutes late. Like, she threw 3 rings down the toilet. She was always this really upset, angry, full of pain, as a person. So, looking back now, I know that she was taking that out on me, and she would be so angry, like, if I didn't have you, I could be married. If I didn't have you, and then she'd go live with your father. I don't want you. And there were times I would think, yeah, I should go live with my dad, but she needs me. I can't leave her, and I remember, I don't know if you remember the store A&P. It was when I was growing up. That was like a Jewel or maybe Publix here or something like that. I remember having these brown paper bags, and one day I was just so fed up, I just started packing everything. I said, I'm going to live with Dad, and I put everything in these paper brown bags, and then my mom kind of broke down, like, don't leave me, So it was a very unhealthy environment for sure. I believe she loved me. She didn't really show it much, but I think she was just too full of pain and anger,
I mean, how does a kid navigate that?
How's what?
How would you navigate that? I mean, when I was reading that, I'm thinking, of course, you have this desire to help people and fix people when you're constantly having to help.
Yeah, it just kind of becomes your MO, but it gets, until you learn the difference between helping someone or really being taken advantage of, you do kind of give yourself all the time, and you don't really receive. And a lot of my relationships, even in a friendship manner or a romantic, ended up that way, where they were living off me, or they were, But I also feel like I protected myself by dating people like that, because I was like, it's my home. I pay for everything. No one can take it away from me. So I don't think I dated people that could actually contribute and we could be equal partners, because I was too scared to. I was like, what if it doesn't work out and I end up on the street? I will never do that again. I don't want to be out on the street. So it takes a long, long time to realize how trauma affects you in all these little ways, and it's not until you do the work that you really start to realize, oh, I'm like this because of this. Oh, I'm like this because of this, and then you have to really want to make those changes. You can't stay in that comfort zone of, well, this is where I'm comfortable. You know what I mean? You have to kind of break out of that and start healing and start doing the work to change your mindset. And I've also, after learning how to work with my mindset, it's progressed into like manifestation and laws of attraction, and you kind of learn, and it all works. It just does. I mean, it's scientifically proven as well, but it works on an emotional level as well.
What was it like being told not? Who did you confide in, I guess, when you were younger? Because in your book you talk about how your mom tells you don't talk to your dad, don't tell your dad.
Right.
Like who were your people? Was there anybody that you could talk to?
I think my best friend, who I'm still best friends with to this day, she was someone that I confided in. I mean, we were just kids, but she would spend the night, and if there were nights that my mom would come home super drunk, I would just tell her, stay in the bedroom. She'd hear my mom, like, hitting me and things like that, and I'd be like, whatever you do, I'm, like, yelling at her because I know my mom can't hear me, don't come out of the bedroom. Like, so she was someone, she went through, like, my grandfather's death with me, she just went to funerals with me. She was like, I guess she was the person I confided in. I did have a cousin who also got mixed up with drugs and alcohol, and she had passed, unfortunately, about 10 years ago. But she was one cousin that would, after my mom died, she would still come out and find me, see where I'm at, keep tabs on me, sometimes take me for a weekend. Although I was partying hard with her, she cared. She was my mother's brother's daughter, and my mother's brother was also a very severe alcoholic and abusive and things. So she can relate, but she went a whole nother avenue. I was going down that avenue, but thank God I didn't go as far as she did. And she had gotten into heroin and just, the sweetest person you would meet, so and beautiful inside and out, but unfortunately, was ruined by addictions.
When you say partying, is that when you were getting into like cocaine and stuff like that?
Yeah, I got into cocaine a little later. I was afraid of cocaine in my early teens. I was just smoking a lot of pot, and I always drank tons of Jack Daniels. I mean, I always had Jack Daniels and pot with me, but I don't think I got into cocaine until I was a little older, about 18, 19. By the time 21 came along, I was kind of already getting tired of partying and stuff. But I got down to 80 pounds. I had eating disorders plus the cocaine on top of it, and I would weigh myself and be 80 pounds and think, oh my God, I still need to lose 5 pounds. And the eating disorders was a whole nother thing to try to get over, and it was a challenge for sure.
You didn't really touch on it too much in the book.
No,
the cocaine.
yeah.
It was like it came.
And went. It wasn't a long period, but I loved it. It made me feel invincible. I felt so confident and invincible on it, and I never felt that way before. And I guess that's how drugs lure you in, right? But it started to get to the point where I was doing too much of it, and I would come down and feel suicidal and be crying on my floor and just like feel worse than I ever felt in my life. So it brings you so far up, but then it also brings you so far down that, and I was engaged to a young kid. I had my own apartment at 18, and he was like 19. I wrote about him in the book shortly. That wasn't Joey, but my father's mother was someone I became close with after my mom died. I didn't see her at all when my mom was alive. I don't think my mom wanted me to. But she was someone who, for a short time, I would go spend weekends with, and I started to feel like a normal kid. And she was religious. She didn't go to church all the time, but she was spiritual, and she taught me different things about spirituality and connecting with God, and to, when you're in trouble, you have someone to talk to, things like that. And he told me, I'm calling your grandmother. I'm going to tell her about this cocaine problem. And I was like, no. I was like, I didn't want to be tainted in her eyes. It was so important to me that one person I respected and loved in life didn't view me like that. So I was like, I promise I'll quit. And I did. I had to do the whole mindset thing. And I smoked for 12 years, and how I quit smoking was another thing, the mindset thing, like looking at this, tobacco and piece of paper and just looking at it and say, you have control over me. This, like, you're not doing anything positive for me, nothing. Like, I had to really, with my mindset work on things, but I was able to overcome a lot of things just by changing my mindset. And that's why because I never did traditional therapy or meds or anything like that. And not that I'm I dog it. I don't say, well, it's terrible for everybody. Some people, it really benefits. But the people that I have worked with personally have said that they've tried therapy for years, and they just get prescriptions and they feel numb, and they're talking to someone, and there's a lot of yeah. They can't really give you direction or instruction because they're liable then, right? So it's kind of, I don't know. It doesn't seem to work for everybody, and I think this is just and that's why I call it alternative healing, because it's a different way. It's like taking control of your thoughts and your mind, and which in turn, that's what made me believe I actually had a soul, like separate from my mind. Like my mind isn't the only thing controlling me, otherwise I wouldn't be able to control my mind, right? So there is something separate there, and that was a huge, realization for me too. Like, wow, wait a minute, if I can control my mind, I'm separate from my mind, So there's a lot of like thought that goes into it, but it's it works.
So kind of walk me through how somebody comes to you. They've got some trauma they're trying to deal with. What are the steps that you
Well,
start
we
taking
talk a little
with
bit
them?
about the trauma, and we talk a little bit about how mindset, transforming your mindset, change your life. Like, change your mind, change your life. It sounds like a cliche, but it's real. It's so real. I hate that it sounds like such a cliche,
Sure.
because it really is real. How we perceive things is how our life is. You focus on lack, you get more lack. I watch people focus on lack, and they can't understand why they're in that circle and why they don't catch a break, and why, because all you do is focus on the lack, you're going to get more lack, right? So anyway, I talked to them a little bit about how mindset transformation works. I talked to them about my course, how there's weekly lessons and daily activities, and the course is simple, very simple. It's not easy, but it's a very simple course to follow, and it just teaches you about, first of all, taking ownership, because anything that's happening in your life is not anyone else's fault but your own. Taking ownership is powerful. It's huge. A lot of people want to say, well, I'm this way because of this, or because of this person, or I'm in this, abusive relationship, and and it's hard to get out of, and it's scary to get out of, and it's dangerous to get out of. But it's up to you to get out of it. It's up to you to do the work and to seek out the proper help. And we all got to take ownership for ourselves. So that's a huge lesson. Even being childlike is super important. People get into a routine where they're just working, coming home, eating dinner, watching TV, working, coming home. And then they're turning on the TV, which is blasting you with horrible news, crime, politics, and all this terrible, terrible stuff. And then you're just going through this mundane motions, along with hearing all this depression. I'm surprised not everybody in the world is depressed. Like, it's crazy. So I teach how to kind of be childlike, play. Every day I try, when I'm in my environment, I try to go for walks, weather permitting, and barefoot through the grass. It's grounding. It feels good. Like, I have a sand pit in a park that I live by. That's a volleyball, and I walk through the sand. Like, I'm not at the ocean at the I do visit the ocean because it's so healing, but I'll do playful things, and now I got grandchildren, so I get to play all the time, which is amazing. I love, but being childlike is important. You got to find joy. What brings you joy? You got to find that, and you got to incorporate that into your life. So there's 12 weeks of different lessons, and it just makes you see things differently, think differently, learn how to view things differently, and then you can do the work. And I do weekly sessions, Zoom sessions, or in person if they're local. And the weekly sessions are more of the customized ones, customized to their certain trauma, because the course is just a way for, it's like for everybody. The course actually just teaches you how to change your mindset. But the sessions that I have with people are one-on-one, personalized, customized sessions, because everybody goes through different types of trauma. And I've had someone come to me who's like, I'm a little embarrassed to come to you because I haven't been through a lot of trauma, but I'm always thinking negative. I can't I can't be happy. I can't. And I'm like, you don't have to go through the trauma I've been through to want to learn how to change your mindset. You know, I just wrote the book so that people who have been through tremendous amount of trauma can have hope. Like, oh, well, if she can do it, so can I. So I try to encourage people, if you just want to change your mindset, if you just want to learn, you know, you don't have to have been through horrible trauma and abuse to talk to me. You know, I can help you just change your mindset, because the world kind of does teach us we have to look a certain way to be happy. We have to,
Right.
you know, be a certain weight, look a certain way, have the certain amount of money. We're all constantly being bombarded and conditioned on what we're supposed to be and how we're lacking and how we need to buy this product so we're not lacking. So sometimes it's just hard to be happy even if you haven't been through trauma and abuse, because you're just buying into all that, you know. So
I don't know if it's worse now than it was 50, 60 years ago. And I say that because I feel like, you know, we are an overprescribed nation for starters.
Yeah.
And then when you are looking for help, real help, usually it comes in the form of a pill. Mm-hmm. And again, to your point, not to say that that's a bad thing, I just think that for a lot of people, the pill isn't the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there are other ways.
And they give it to a lot of people just to give it to them.
This will baseline you won't have any emotion, and hopefully that'll get you through your day. You know, when I said, I don't know if it's worse now, but, you know, if we go back in time a little bit when there was like real hardship.
Right.
And what I mean by that is not to diminish somebody who's had trauma versus the trauma that was experienced years ago, but it's more like, if you talk about war, you know, World War II, World War I, I mean, those humans probably didn't have nearly as much in terms of healing after something like that. And then go back farther than that. I mean, we're just talking about coming across the ocean, and, you know, you're hunting and you're seeing death and everything every single day. Maybe it's in our DNA that we need a little hardship to be human.
I mean, that makes sense, you know. And going back to the prescription, like, we are the only country that shows commercials for prescription.
Yeah, that's wild.
What? Ask your doctor about that? Why would I ask my doctor? My doctor should be telling me what medications I need. Like, I myself avoid medication. I'm not in any type of prescribed medication. I do natural supplements and things like that. Just because I have worked with a lot of elderly people. I've also been a licensed massage therapist for a long time, a Reiki practitioner, and I've seen elderly people be on like 16 to 18 pills.
Yeah.
And I remember the days that I would say, and they'd say like, oh, I forgot to take my pills. They would seem like happier, calmer, and when they were on their pills, they were like terrified and feeling uneasy and anxious, and I could see that there's something wrong. There's something wrong.
I mean, we don't know what everything is doing inside when we get all those pharmaceutical drugs in there.
Well, you hear at the end of those commercials, blah, 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 blah,
yeah.
all the terrible side effects.
Definitely going to get diarrhea.
What? Yeah. I mean, suicidal thoughts. Like, what? Yeah. Like, so it is an overprescribed, you know. And I was diagnosed with pre-diabetes, and my doctor said, yeah, in 10 years you're going to have diabetes. You know, this was over 10 years ago. And I said, no, I'm not. And he said, yes, you are. And I said, no, I'm not. Yeah. And I'm finding a new doctor, because you should be telling me through diet and exercise I can change that. I can control that. So I did get a new doctor, and I did control it. And it's been under control, and it's not an issue. But like I said, like, that makes you someone who doesn't like study nutrition and holistic values, they may feel doomed. Oh God, I'm going to have diabetes. I just have to take these pills. You know,
take Ozempic.
Yeah, it's a sad thing, you know.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, to your point, I don't take any pharmaceutical drugs. Yeah. I barely take an aspirin.
Yeah, I know.
Anymore, because it just, that manufactured thing going in. We're very health conscious in my home.
Yeah, that's a
diet
good thing.
Diet and exercise, big thing. You know, I had was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis like 8 years ago or so. And I don't have it anymore because of diet and exercise.
I know.
I was going to be prescribed this medication for it because it was painful. I was having a lot of pain.
I know.
And the doctor, the specialist, said, take this and then, or this prescription that he was writing for me. And then he said, every 3 months we'll have to come in and check your liver. And I'm like,
yeah, that don't sound good.
I don't want to take a drug that's good. That you have to
Affect
check,
your
make sure
liver,
my liver is doing well. So no, I'm going to figure it out.
I don't even do
man.
that with my dog when they say that. I'm like, I will find an alternative. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's there's a lot of alternative remedies if you really take the time to look into them and learn about them. And the beautiful thing is nowadays we do have Google. We do have ways of researching different things. We have holistic facilities. We have a lot of different alternatives that are more readily available to us than they used to be in the past, you know. But yeah, I've watched someone recover from the arthritis too. By changing diet, like they kind of stripped everything and then slowly introduced things.
Essentially
Is that
what
what you did? Yeah.
Yeah, we went raw, basically raw vegan, and now the only the trigger was red meat.
Right. Okay.
So,
yeah, you find out what the trigger is if you do that process. Yeah.
So stop eating red meat.
Right.
What do you know?
Yeah.
You know.
I
Also,
know.
we don't eat processed food.
Yeah, I don't
You know,
either,
because
right.
processed foods is complete horseshit, and
Yes.
it's just like putting a pharmaceutical drug into your system, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the secret is like they say, like stay on the outer perimeters of the store and try to get organic, you know, as much as you can, and don't go in those inner aisles because that's box cans. It's all processed. It's not even food, you know.
And nobody really talks about this kind of stuff either.
I know.
You know, and it definitely helps your mental health.
Absolutely.
You know, if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're tired, you're fatigued, you don't feel well, and when you don't feel well, you don't think well, you know, it's a whole thing, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's wild. It really is wild.
Yeah.
So no drugs, no alcohol now?
No.
Not at all?
I'll have a
little
cocktail.
glass of wine.
Yeah. I'll have a margarita or I'm kind of like a tequila connoisseur. Like I like the high end, the really...
Oh, the good stuff.
That you just sip a little bit of. You don't drink a bottle of it. You don't drink 2 or 3 margaritas. You have your nice little sipping or whatever. So I will have a cocktail here and there, but no alcoholism, no drugs for sure. I don't even do, I used to smoke a lot of pot. I don't even do any type of cannabis, but I think that probably cannabis is safer than alcohol, and it's probably better for you than alcohol, but I don't have any desire to do any of that.
I definitely drink too much beer. But,
yeah, but you don't have the arthritis, right?
That's right.
That's right. I saw a commercial on Facebook, like an ad that said, hey, you don't have to drink alcohol. You could put this, and she's putting it in a bottle of Coke, and you can get a buzz. And I'm like, probably drinking that Coke is more unhealthy than drinking that whatever glass of wine is, you know, like you're putting a chemical in a bottle of Coke, like what's
Which
wrong
is all
with
chemicals.
that?
Yeah, and sugar.
Yes. So what's wrong with that picture? Like, no. But, you know, it's you know, mind, body, and soul. You have to take care of all 3. You know, you can, if you only take care of your health and you're healthy and you don't get your mind right, you know, you're not happy. If you get your mind right and you don't take care of your body, you know, it's a mind, body, and soul. You know, you got to take care of all 3.
And then with your children, you know, how in tune
The
are they? I
loves
mean,
of
you
my life.
wrote the book, so I mean, how in tune are they to your history?
They haven't read the book.
Oh, really?
No, they haven't been able to bring themselves to read the book. My daughter-in-law and son-in-law have, but my kids, no. They are not ready to read the book. I never really dwelled about what happened. I always told them that they do have an older brother out there. Like, I never lied to them. They knew that I had went through things, and I was open with them. I didn't have to give them so many in-depth details, but they knew, you know, some of the trauma I'd been through and why I was so overprotective. Like, I didn't want them in a room with adults. I didn't care if it was their uncle. You're never in a room with an adult without another adult present, or, you can't. I just was so terrified that anything would happen. I wanted their life to be so different from mine, and their dad and I got a divorce, but he was always, he always seen them every other weekend, every Wednesday. Like we co-parented still, and he was just on vacation with us in Florida. Like we've been divorced 26 years, and he's in another relationship, but he'll come on vacation with us. It's a healthy environment, and she's a great person. She's very understanding, his significant other, but I worked a lot. Like I worked a lot because I wanted them. I didn't want them to feel like there was lack or anything. But I remember I used to always tell my kids, yeah, we're millionaires. I just don't want you guys to be spoiled brats, and stuff like that. And my daughter one day was like, Mom, if we're millionaires, she's like, I can almost believe that because you make things happen, but why do you work so much if we're millionaires? That's the one thing she couldn't get through her head, but I also spent a lot of quality time with them, and they always knew they were loved. They always knew they came first. I was in a relationship once where I came home after work, and my daughter was like, he yelled at us, and I was like, honestly, the next day he was gone. My kids are number one. I was like, you don't yell at my kids. They have a mom and dad. You come to me. You never yell at my kids. That's not your place, So they always knew that even if I was in a relationship or anything like that, they were number one. They're well-rounded children. They're happily married. My daughter is a phenomenal mom. I watch her and I'm just blown away. I'm like, wow. And she's like, well, I learned from you. I'm like, I think you take it a couple levels up. She's always hands-on. She's always patient. She plays with them. She makes sure she doesn't work too much because she's there a lot, and I have my grandkids 2 days a week, and I treasure that, every minute of that. I never feel like, oh, yeah, they tire me out. I can't wait till they go home. I'm actually always asking, can we do a movie night? Could they have a slumber party with me? Can they stay over? And, all right, Mom, I want to spend time with them too. I'm like, you do, but we're like fighting over time with them. So they're very loved, and they're very happy kids, and that's my joy in life, for my kids and my grandkids. I mean, they just bring so much love and happiness into my life.
And your grandkids are going to grow to appreciate that a great deal. I think it's super important to have like our kids spend as much time as they can with their grandparents, because there's a wealth of knowledge there that we don't have. That you have, that they have, to give to those kids, and the memories that they're going to keep for a very long time. Yeah,
they are the best. Family is everything, and fortunately, I was able to come from a broken, dysfunctional family and create a family where, even though I divorced their dad, we're all still very close-knit family. And he and I are there for each other. If something happens, we're there. Like, even though we didn't work out, which I don't feel, especially in my 20s, that I was even capable of being in a marriage, because there wasn't that kind of, I wasn't able to have that kind of trust. I wasn't able to have that kind of openness. I wasn't there yet. So, but I fortunately, instinctively, immediately knew how to be a mother from day one, and I was, always very close to my children, and we're still very close. We never get off the phone without saying I love you, and we're just really close-knit family.
Do you find that a lot? What are the majority of your, would you call them clients?
Yeah.
Are they deaf? Are they people that?
No, I haven't had a deaf client yet.
Really? Now, see, I think that you would thrive in that. That would be like the focus.
I have to be careful how I say this, because I don't want to, put all deaf people in one group, because like I said, it's a different generation of deaf people, and they are their access to education and everything is a lot more equal than it was back in the day. So, deaf people really don't look for help. There's something, they have a deaf community that they kind of stick with, you know, and I've never met a deaf person that hasn't thought that money's always an issue. Money's always an issue. So they won't go above and beyond to do things like sometimes even traveling and stuff like it's money. Like they won't do things to help themselves or enhance their happiness because money is always, money is always an issue. I have a brother that was given up for adoption and he's deaf and I love him. He's so much fun to talk to and he lives in Arizona, but it's still this, like, he's my dad 100%. He's never met my dad, but he is 100% my dad. He looks like him, he walks like him, he signs like him. It's so amazing to watch, but it's the same thing. It's like, come on out, just go, money, you know, so don't worry about that, you know, just come out and visit and things like that. But
what is that, like security then?
I don't know. I'm not, I don't know, but the whole community is always focused about, you know, the lack of money and how they do they do a lot with each other, but they don't do a lot to like seek out help or unless they have insurance or something paying, they're not even going to go for a medical help or anything like that. So it's very I haven't had any deaf clients. I would love to work with some deaf, you know, clients, but I haven't. I don't. It's just a different community, you know, and unless you like kind of live it, you don't really get it, you know, but it is changing and it is, you know, one of my friends has a deaf actress for a daughter, his daughter is a deaf actress. She was in the Marvel movies and I met her and I was just so impressed with her because her way of thinking, the way she treats her children, it's all different than the traditional deaf. That's what made me know, like, okay, things are changing, things are progressing in the deaf community, so that makes me happy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the kind of experiences that you have. Like I said, I have one friend, a good friend, but there's still a communication gap between us.
Okay.
You know?
So, but
he can read lips.
He's
got a cochlear,
okay.
But he definitely signs.
Right.
Like I said, he works in the film industry. He owns his own.
Okay. See, there you go. That's yeah.
Yeah, and he works with deaf artists, musicians. He does a lot of work for the deaf community. Through his.
I might know that guy. Is his last name Forbes? Oh, because I was like, he actually performed at the Super Bowl as a deaf rapper.
Oh, that could be him. I don't know him. I know,
right.
but he works with these artists and helps produce their music.
Yeah, like I said, the deaf community is growing and they're being more accepted and they're being treated with respect, where before they were just like, oh, they can't hear, they can't talk, they're just, you know, and they were dismissed and education wasn't important. And, you know, it was a whole different generation. And I see the changes and it's really wonderful. It's remarkable.
Have you thought about expanding this book? Maybe writing something a little bit more in depth, more descriptive? And the only reason why I say that is because there's so much that you've gone through in your life. And I don't think you did it justice in 107 pages.
Yeah, well, like I said, I don't like to go back and live it. Like I said, people were like, oh, it must have been therapeutic writing it. No. I don't like living there. I don't like to give that too much focus and too much energy. I do want to write a book on parenting after trauma and abuse, and I do want to write a book on dating after trauma and abuse. I feel like those are two very important topics to tackle. So, but I'm still working on this one. I know someone who's also in the film industry who's like, maybe it should become like a miniseries or a movie or something. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Right now, I'm just trying to keep the momentum going. Like I've kind of stepped back from keeping the momentum going on this book itself. which I feel on Amazon I've got, I don't know, I think like 42 5-star reviews, but what they've written in there is just so touching to me that I feel like I still owe this book some more work, because it seems like it's really touching people, that it's really helping people, feel like they have hope. It's giving a lot of hope. And so I kind of want to focus on this book a lot more till it gets a little more momentum and gets out there a little bit more, and just to focus on that. But I think the time will come when I write about parenting and parenting in general, because I think I remember I used to do focus groups, as a mom with teens. They would get us together and get our opinions on snacks and things like that. And, it was like every parent in the room would say, oh, my teenagers are such a hassle. And they'd always talk, and I'd be like, I don't know. I don't have those problems with my kids. I honestly love hanging with my kids. We have a good relationship. Yeah, there are times when, they may do something I don't agree with, and I sit down and I would talk to them. Okay, here's the consequences if you go this way. Here's the consequences if you go this way. It's up to you and what you want to do. You get yourself in trouble, I'm here to bail you out, but you have to make the decision on what kind of life you want. And to give them that power and to give them that choice, it's like they want to please you. They want to make you happy. But if you're constantly saying, oh, they're unruly, they're just disrespectful, that's what they're going to live up to. Yeah. But if you're constantly saying, I love my kids, they're wonderful people, they make great choices. Yeah, sometimes they make mistakes, but they always get through it, and that's what they're going to live up to. So it's important to respect our children. We're not just parents to control them, and to, we need to respect them. Like, if you want respect, you got to give respect, and it's the same with children, and give them love and play, and it doesn't all have to be discipline. Yeah, I was very strict with manners and respect, and don't lie to me. I don't care what you do, no, just don't lie to me. I'll be on your side, we'll talk, but you can't lie to me. So I was strict in a way, but I also showed a lot of love and a lot of play and a lot of respect back in return. Did I lose my temper? And I was working 3 jobs. I was a single mom. I've lost my temper. I've yelled and screamed like every parent does, So I don't want parents to ever be hard on themselves for those moments. As long as you incorporate those other important things, that's what matters, the love and the play and the respect.
And then probably making sure that you evolve with them as they get older.
Oh, yeah.
I have a soon to be 21-year-old and a 19-year-old and
an
8-year-old.
Oh, wow.
So the difference in parenting is vast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And my older 2 are older. I mean, they are adults.
Right.
As soon as, as much as I cried when they graduated high school, you can help be their moral compass, but you can't do it all for them.
Yeah, no, you definitely have to teach them the tools to do it on their own. But I'm still there for them 100%. Like, crazy story. My daughter we had a very big cicada problem where I live. And my daughter does not like bugs. Like, she sees any bug and she's like, Mom, I'm not going to be able to go out for 6 weeks. You don't understand. I won't be able to take the kids to the park. I won't be, like, she was like, I can't be here for, So what do? We packed up a trailer and we went to Florida for a month so I'm still kind of that hands-on mom. And we took my grandkids, and her husband would come out, and they came out for Father's Day weekend, and my ex-husband came out for a week and stuff like that. And we made it a really nice, fun thing, and I'm chugging this trailer along with all our stuff in it, and so I'm still pretty hands-on as a parent, but that's my life, and I think moms are kind of like that too. Like, they just never let go. Like, I let go. They have their own lives, but I'm always there, and we always go out to dinner together. My son and his wife come over once a week, and we have movie night.
Nice.
And, dinner and stuff. So. They're just what bring me joy, and music and dancing and singing and things like that. But Yeah, I think my daughter can pretty much talk me into anything. Probably anything, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you've got an aura about you.
Yeah.
You do, you really do.
Thank
There's
you.
a light, not just that light.
Yeah.
That's around you, which is quite
Thank
remarkable.
you.
I mean, in reading your book,
Thank you.
I just, at least, I'm like, I don't know how anybody can come out of that. What
Well,
you went through.
that's what the book's for, to tell people you can come out of it. You can be successful, and there's a lot of ways to be successful. Like, you don't have to have gone through college and all. You know, I
Right.
can have access to all that. There's so many entrepreneurial ways. You just have to believe in yourself. You have to find your passion and find a way to make what is your passion your work, and it will turn out okay. You know, it's just, it does take not giving up. One of my favorite sayings: "A winner is just a loser who tried one more time." Right?
Yeah.
And that's the truth. That's powerful. A winner is just a loser that tried one more time.
I like it.
You know?
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
That's a good saying.
It is. It's very powerful. It's like, wow, that's true. And that always helps me when I feel like, things aren't going the way they should be. And like, nope, they're going just fine. I'm where I'm supposed to be. Go with the flow. I also believe like we can work too hard. And when we work on it too hard and overwhelm ourselves, it's like
counterintuitive.
Thank you, yeah. And it just becomes a block, and sometimes we just have to step back and get in a receptive mode and let things come to us. If we get in the right mindset and the right vibration that aligns with the, being in the receptive mode, things come. Sometimes I have to slow down and not try so hard, and then things start to come easier. So there's that to learn too. There's a lot, that we're always taught, work hard, work hard, work hard. And you go to Europe and they're like, yeah, let's have a 2-hour lunch. And
Yeah, take a nap. Enjoy life.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because they're like this. You've got
Yeah,
kids.
absolutely.
I mean, you're going to blink and
I know.
they're 21 and 19.
I'm looking like, I feel like I just had my kids yesterday and now I got grandkids. It's mind-blowing,
I listened to somebody not long ago who was in their late 50s talk to somebody who was 30. And he said to him, I was you yesterday.
Yeah.
I was literally 30 yesterday. I still feel that way, but I am not. I'm
You're right.
20-some years older now.
Right.
In a blink of an eye.
That is the truth. That is the truth. So life does go by too quick, and to spend it in a mundane, like just going through the motions, unhappy, it's not the way we're supposed to live. We're supposed to be happy. It's okay to be happy. Sometimes people feel guilty for being happy because they're like so bombarded with, people with money are terrible, or people this, and this, and that's not true. It's not true. People worked hard and got what they wanted, and they are enjoying life, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I remember going into the coffee shop I go into every day, and there was this lady there with these really cute boots, and I go, oh, I love your boots, and she's like, oh, they weren't expensive at all, and I got them on the sale rack, and I was just like, I don't care if you spent $2,000 on them, or $2 on them. I like them. You don't have to apologize for having nice things, And I felt like she was going to give them to me right off her feet. I was like, oh, I just like your
Also,
boots,
nobody cares.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody cares.
Right.
I'm a firm that if I'm worried about somebody thinking bad about me,
Right.
I can only imagine how much headspace they're filling with the
Right.
things that they don't like about themselves.
Exactly.
Because after a while, they're going to stop thinking about me and start thinking about somebody else. And it doesn't
Exactly.
last. And 100 years from now, we're all going to be gone.
It's
And
kind
then
of
really
funny. When
nobody's
I
going
was
to give a shit.
younger, I people would sometimes be like, well, aren't you angry? Aren't you? And I said, no, if they're picking on me, they're leaving somebody else alone. I can handle it.
Yeah.
I used to look at things like, I've been through this and this and that. Like, what are you going to do to hurt me? You can't anymore. I'm just, you know what I mean? It's like, so I would be like, if they're picking on me, they're leaving someone else alone, so whatever. But yeah, and sometimes we assume people think things that they don't even think. So,
Right, exactly.
yeah, I'm working with someone now who's just like assumes this about somebody. And I'm like, but did you communicate? Well, no, I never communicated in my life. Like, well, here we go. We got to learn how to communicate, because these people probably aren't even feeling this way or thinking this. Like, we can't just go around assuming things,
Right.
So communication is key.
Yeah, that drive people nuts.
Yeah.
It really would.
I know.
You know?
Absolutely.
I'm sure somebody's talking about me right now.
Yeah.
Guess what? I don't care.
Yeah, I know.
Let everybody know where they can find your book.
You can find it on Amazon. I was just told that it's in Walmart now too, which I was surprised to hear that.
How did it get there?
I don't know, Walmart.com. I think you can get it on BarnesandNoble.com. If you look up Sweet Freedom Whisperer in my ear, it pops up in a few places.
Yep.
Independent bookstores are starting to pick it up.
Nice.
Hoot and Honey right across the street here in Manistee. I'm doing a book signing there today. I did one in February there as well, and we sold out on the book, so I'm doing that again today. I love Manistee, by the way. It's really a quaint town. I love coming up here. I even come in the winter for sleigh bell and stuff. So, it's easy to find, you know. And my website is just shirleybuck.com, even though it's Red Leaf Alternative Healing. My son took care of my website for me, so he was like, yeah, let's just do a shirleybuck.com. That way, if anyone searches you, I'm like, oh, that's a great idea.
Smart kid.
So, yeah.
Shout out to your son working at SEO.
Exactly.
Good job, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to my kids and grandkids. I love them very much. They make my life a better place for sure.
It's been rad meeting you.
It's been really good meeting you as well.
I think this is a really, really good thing. And I think there's a ton of people that would get a lot out of it if they took some time to read it. And
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
I liked it a lot.
Thank you.
Very interesting. You're a super cool human.
Thank you. You as well.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
No,
but
yeah.
I do
you were
appreciate.
Very easy to talk to, and I
you.
really appreciate being here.
The next time you come to Manistee, give me a little bit of notice, and we'll have some top shelf tequila. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Thank you so much.